Okay, so today we're going to basically do our take our first crack at creating a document and making something. Okay, and we're just going to practice the process of extrusion today, making a sketch and extruding. Okay, some fairly fundamental skills, but all kinds of little things that can get in your way of getting these things done. And so we want to practice this just a bunch of times to make sure we're really comfortable with it. And so you come into Onshape, you might see something like this. You probably don't have any documents, or maybe a couple. You got a tab over here. Eventually you may have a classes thing if we get this set up. You might have a Teams thing if we decide to set that up. And then you have it recently opened, stuff like that. Just go to the Owned by Me tab. Really doesn't matter right now because we're not opening documents, but this is where you'll find things that you've made. We're going to start by creating something. So we're going to create a document. Okay, and we're going to call this Onshape first objects. Ooh, I can't spell. Okay. All right. And so here we are. We're in Onshape. So some of you figured out that you can move these planes around, but I don't really ever do that. You can also hide them too. I also don't really do that. They're kind of helpful to have. I usually just leave them alone. The most important things for you right now are going to be this button right here to create a sketch, and this button right here to extrude. So the sketch process goes as follows. We make a sketch. We select a plane. Okay? And so I generally do sketches on the top plane, but you can do it on the front plane or on the right plane. Okay, when you create the sketch, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to press on the keyboard the letter N to make it go perpendicular. Okay, let's try that again. Let's say we want to do a sketch on the top plane. We're going to press the letter N to make it go perpendicular. I can navigate over here. I can navigate like that. This way. This way. I can also kind of roll in and out with the wheel. I can right click and rotate, and then when things get all messed up, I can click on here to straighten things out, or I can click the letter N, and that will put me above my sketch plane. Okay, the most important button on the keyboard right now is the letter N, right? We get messed up, we press the letter N. Let's say I'm trying to make a sketch. I'm on the front plane, but my sketch is on the top plane. I'm trying to draw a line. It's not letting me do it. It's because I'm selecting that. I've got my sketch plane as the top plane, and I'm looking at the front plane. I press the letter N, and now I can make my sketch. Okay, so I've drawn some lines here, and this is a sketch, and I've just created some lines, and they're unconnected. And you can see that every empty region is the same color. And what I want you to observe here is that when I connect these last two dots, the space fills in, and that tells us it's enclosed. And so when we are doing extrusions, when we're building shapes, we want to close off our sketches. Okay, so I'm going to actually cancel that sketch and make a new one. I'm going to select, I could select the top plane there if I want, press the letter N, I'm already there, and so then I draw my shape. And so I've got all these sketch options here. I've got lines, I've got rectangles, different kinds of circles, some different kinds of arcs, some polygons, got this kind of fun spline tool, like that, okay? And there's a bunch of stuff you can do there. And so let's say I've made this sketch, I want to extrude it. My next step is to press extrude. Okay, and then you can see here, it's created it in 3 dimensions. And so the way I do this is by holding the right click. Now I can adjust it here, or I can type in the depth of it here. So I'll make this to be, oops. If I want to edit it, I double click here, or I can right click to edit. I can enter it here. I'm going to say 1. My keyboard is not working. Alright, there we go. There we go. So this now has a depth of 1 millimeter, so really thin. Okay? And now that I've done that, let's say I want to edit my sketch. So I can come back here, and I can move things around, and I can edit my sketch, make it something different. And then what will happen is, when I click the check mark here, it will update my shape. Okay? And so what your job right now is going to be is to do this. You're going to make sketches on your top plane, press that letter N, sketch it, extrude it, extrude it. 1 millimeter for that one. You're going to make another sketch, press the letter N, you're going to extrude it. And there's different ways you can extrude, right? I can select it from here now, and I select my region. I'm going to extrude this one 2 millimeters. Okay, I'm going to make another sketch. I'm going to select my top plane. Let's make a different shape this time, maybe a polygon. I'm going to extrude it. This one's going to go at depth of 3. Okay. And so we're just going to make a whole bunch of shapes. And we're going to split them up into groups. So the first group you can create in this first part studio. And we'll call this maybe like simple shapes. Okay. And let's say we want to have separate parts that are part of the same project. We click this plus to insert a new tab. And we choose Create Part Studio. Okay. And we'll call this less simple shapes, or you can call it what you want. And then we'll do some sketches here too, and you pick up where you left off. So maybe there's 5 there, there's 5 here, so we'll start extruding it with a height of 6 here. And so this one, I'm going to press the letter N, and maybe I draw some more funky patterns here. Do you notice like sometimes things highlight when I'm drawing them? Those are what are called constraints. We're not going to worry about those yet, but they're a really important feature, and they're also kind of a headache when you're starting to learn. And so here I've established unintentionally a horizontal constraint between these 2 dots, which means if I move this dot up and down, that one's going to move with it because I've constrained them horizontally together. Okay, again, we'll spend a lot of time learning about constraints. We've got a vertical one right here, so those 2 guys are going to move together. We're not so worried about them right now, but they will be important later. Okay, if you want to show all the constraints, you can make them visible right there. Look at the perpendicular constraint right there. So if I try to move this, it's going to move that one to maintain that perpendicular shape. I got this parallel one right here. So if I change the angle of that, it's going to move that line. Yeah, so anyway, those are constraints. Nothing to worry about right now. We'll get into those later. So anyway, I want to extrude this one. Extrude. If I click extrude while I have the sketch open, it'll automatically select the face for me. If I don't, then I have to select it myself. Okay, and we'll set this one to be 6. Okay, on the next one, let's say I make a little bit more complex shape, and there's like some kind of overlaps, and maybe I don't want to extrude everything. Okay, so I'm going to extrude this one, and you can see it's not sure what I want selected, and so you can deselect here and come back in and choose the things that you want to extrude. Okay. And so we got that. If we want to change what we extruded, we can come back and double click here. Double click here, and we can actually edit that extrude. So if there's something, you can look at a highlight here, and we can remove it if we don't want it. Or you can click right there to remove it. Okay, so that'll be our shape. We'll extrude that one to 7. Okay, and there we got another shape. And look, these ones are detached from each other. They're all different shapes. And so what happened here was when I extruded it, I created 3 separate things. There's one more thing I want to show here. If I try to sketch something, and you can see here that escape, that this one never turned gray, right? And so if I extrude it, it's not going to let me select this region, okay? I can select it and extrude the surfaces, but this is not something we're doing right now. That's not something we want to do, okay? There's also this like thin option. We're not really going to worry about that either. That's not what we're working on right now. We want to use solids only, at least for the time being. And so here, if I want to extrude this, I have to come back and I have to make sure it's closed off and turns gray. Then once it's gray, I can come back in and I can select it to extrude it. Okay? And so now we've done some extrudes there, some extrudes here, and then maybe we'll do maybe a third part studio here for, we can rename this one as the complicated shapes or complex shapes maybe. Okay, and we'll do a bunch in here too. So you're going to make these 3-part studios. We're going to do a bunch of shapes in each, and just to get the practice of creating sketches and extruding those solids. Alright, so let's say we've got all our shapes made, we finished the assignment, we're ready to turn it in. We're going to do a different approach later, but for now, we're just going to click Share. We're going to go down to Link Sharing, turn on link sharing, copy to clipboard, and then we're going to submit that link. Okay? And so this is what you'll submit as your assignment submission, and then I'll be able to click on that link, open up the document, and grade it for you.